Fentanyl. It could be hiding anywhere, including in your house, including in your medicine cabinet, or maybe at a friend's house where you're hanging out, playing games, and you get offered a pill. Don't take chances. If a drug didn't come from a pharmacy directly to you, you can find fentanyl by using a simple strip you can pick up at your local pharmacy. Don't take it until you test it, because fentanyl can be hiding anywhere. Brought to you by the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Mental Disabilities.
Smoothie King asks, what's that sound? That's the refreshing sound of our extreme watermelon smoothie. Made with a watermelon juice blend, coconut water, and sweetened strawberries. Back for a limited time. Only at Smoothie King.
AT&T Fiber presents a straightforward moment.
Your wine?
Thanks. I'll pretend I know what I'm doing before saying it's good.
And I'll pretend I don't know you're pretending.
Are you a gagillionaire?
Yeah, I have AT&T Fiber. The straightforward pricing has inspired me to be more straightforward.
Me too.
Ugh, this wine. I'll fetch you a better one.
Straightforward is better. No equipment fees, no data caps, no price increase at 12 months. Live like a gagillionaire with AT&T Fiber. Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hue I Do. I'm Ashleigh.
And I'm Toniah.
And today we are going to dive into the delicious world of wedding cakes and wedding desserts. And we have a very, very wonderful guest on the show that is here to help us kind of figure out what we need to ask and look for and do all of our good due diligence when we're in the process of searching for our wedding cake designer. And so I would love for our guest to introduce herself. So guest, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I own Nicole Bakes Cakes in Los Angeles, California. I am a professional pastry chef, so I work full-time as a pastry chef, and then I do wedding cakes, event desserts, dessert tables, anything sweet related, I do.
Perfect. Well, we are so happy to have you on the show. We recently talked to one of your frienders and our friender now, Davita Bugs. And so, yeah, she was just wonderful. And I know just based on when we chatted, I got that same kind of like feel and vibe from you. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to like her as well. She's going to be great. Can't wait to have her on. So we're so glad you're on to talk with us tonight. So like before we get all into the fun of, finding and selecting your cake designer, how did you get into the wedding industry? Like how long have you been in the industry?
So I love cake. I'm a foodie at heart, and I went to culinary school. So I have my bachelor's degree in baking and pastry art straight out of high school. So I've been doing this almost 20 years now, give or take a few years. And the last 10 years, I pulled double duty. So I do Monday through Friday. I'm a pastry chef for a video game company. On the weekends and on the off days, I make wedding cakes, celebration cakes, dessert tables. So I'm pretty much surrounded by cake 24/7.
You definitely are surrounded by cakes, like sweets. Like, wow. I would gain a lot of weight
all the time.
Nice.
The thing that saves me is I don't eat chocolate or nuts, and that's like most people like to eat the most, and I don't eat that. So I save some calories by not eating chocolate.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of chocolate either, so I feel you on that part. But congratulations, like you are a pro at this. Like 20 years is a long time. So, I'm pretty sure you can make cakes like with your eyes closed, like literally.
And I can whip out some cakes pretty fast on my own.
I bet.
Very nice. Can you, for the great listeners that have no idea, can you break down the difference between like a baker and a cake designer?
Those two terms are used kind of interchangeable because in order to get the cake, I have to bake it. So therefore I am a baker. But as a cake designer, that's your skill on actually decorating a cake and getting it to wherever it's going safely. That's like structure of what kind of cake you make. If it's going to be a stacked cake, it's the decoration, like what you use as a medium to decorate. So I think that the difference is how much knowledge you have to actually decorate that cake to the couples or whoever's ordering the cake ideas and dreams of what their cake's going to be. So a cake designer is definitely a baker, but it's not interchangeable. A baker can't necessarily be a cake decorator because they might know how to bake something really well, like a loaf of bread, but they don't know how to design and decorate a cake. So cake designer is a baker, but it can't be the other way around. At least for me, I don't think you can have that other way around. So a baker is just a baker you're a baker. You both are bakers. I'm sure you guys bake things in your home. So you definitely can say that you guys are bakers, but can you decorate a cake? That's the
Yeah, no.
No, that's not.
I haven't even tried. So, I'll follow up, with y'all on that one, but yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not even going to try. So I'll just say I'm not, not even going to try to take that on, I'm going to leave that for gifted and talented people like yourself, Perfect. Well, we are going to now get into our fun game of this or that, which is something we do every episode now. Basically, you pick between one or the other and you tell us why. And so we're going to start out with you, Nicole, and then we'll go to Toniah and then circle back around. So we're going to play 4 rounds. And so to start, which one would you pick between like your traditional wedding cake, so the almond type of flavoring and all of that good wedding cake, or something that's a little more unique and custom to that couple? So maybe they love like lemon infused flavors or something like that. So they want that for their wedding cake. Which one?
Definitely unique.
Okay.
That's what I gravitate towards, and those are actually the couples that I seek out the most, because vanilla cake with vanilla buttercream is awesome and it's delicious, but it's not as fun as I just made a cake that was chocolate cake with strawberries and balsamic vinegar. That's more fun, at least for me. And I love when people take risks with their cake flavors, because it should be something fun and unique. I mean, I would hope people that order wedding cakes, they're only getting it once, because they're only going to get married once. So they should definitely have fun with it. So definitely I would go unique all the way.
I love that. I want to try that.
Yeah. I was just about to say, like, that balsamic vinegar, like what?
Oh
on
my
a cake?
gosh.
Like you just
It's really good.
Yeah. So after that, I'm going to say I would like a unique cake as well, just because, I mean, I like to switch things up and I don't like to be like everyone else. And so, hey, let's do that. But I need you, Nicole, to like somehow to ship the cake over to Atlanta. I don't know how.
I fly to make cakes all the time. Well, actually now, not during COVID.
Well, yeah.
But I've flown to Ohio. I've flown to Seattle, New York. I fly for cake. As long as I have an oven, I'll bake it anywhere.
Okay. All right. Like you don't hear that often. So, okay.
That's true.
All right.
If you can find me a table, a mixer, and an oven, I will make your cake. Doesn't matter where.
All right, Nicole.
She's like, when I
know.
Yes.
She's like, when I call you in about like a few months or in a year, like just know.
Let me know. I'll be there. I've traveled many a times with all of my stuff in my suitcase, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we're gonna go into the second round, but I will say, I do like a good traditional flavored wedding cake, but it only depends on if it tastes good.
I'm not gonna knock it. I'm just saying,
yeah,
you should try other things.
Oh, yeah. And I will say too, like, if you can find a way to like keep the elements of like the traditionalness of, I guess, that flavor, but then maybe like something in the icing or like, I don't know, there's another way to kind of like tweak it. I'm completely open to that. I also love food. So I do not need things to be, cookie cutter by all means. All right. Second round. So having fruit tarts, like mini fruit tarts for the guests, or having little brownie bites for the guests.
Fruit tarts. I say fruit tarts because I love using seasonal fruits. So depending on what season you're getting married in, that's another fun, unique thing. If you're like, say fall, you can do hidden rose apples, which are like really pink inside. Or if you're going to do summer, of course, it's all fresh berries and like stone fruit. So I definitely would go fruit tarts over brownies just because I love fruit tarts.
All right. Good answer. Toniah?
So I think I'm going to go with the fruit tart as well. As I said before, I'm not really a huge fan. I mean, I will eat a brownie every now and then, but sometimes it can be really, really rich and like just chewy, So I'd rather, to go with something semi-healthy, but not really, because of the sugar. But yeah, we're going to go with the fruit tart.
All right. My current state in life, I used to love a good brownie, but I can't do caffeine. And I can't do chocolate anymore. So I will also say fruit tart because I want to try it. And yeah, so we're all fruit tarts here. Okay. Donut wall or donut cake?
Ooh, I love them both, but I'm gonna say donut cake.
Okay.
I'm gonna say donut cake. I might regret that. Yeah, I'm going to say donut cake.
Okay.
Yeah. Only because I love the way that donuts look on a cake.
I like that. Okay.
I'm going to say donut wall just because I want the actual cake. So I'm going to just say donut wall.
Okay. I would say donut cake because I'm kind of weird about the whole, like, just free donuts just all out there for anybody to just grab, kind of touch on and take. No, I kind of don't want that. So I think I'm interested in, like, the donut either in the cake or form. I don't even know. It could be donut pieces inside a cake. I don't know. But it sounds like that could be really, really good and tasty. All right.
Yeah.
Final round. And this one's kind of for you, Toniah. So, a savory cheesecake or a sweet cheesecake?
Oh, can I have both? I have to do this or that. I'm gonna say savory. I'm gonna say savory. I might regret. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna say savory because even if it is savory, it's still gonna be semi-sweet. So I'm gonna say savory because now I'm thinking like goat cheesecake is really good, delicious. So I'm gonna go with savory.
I like that.
Nicole, you're speaking to my heart. You're speaking to my heart. Like, I love cheesecake. Like, and y'all, I'm lactose intolerant, but I do not care. I will, like, give it to me. Give it to me. So thank you, Ashleigh, for this. This is a hard question, but I'm going to go with sweet. I don't really like too many things on top of my cheesecake. Like, I like to just taste like the flavors, the texture. I don't want too much stuff, going on. I like just like a regular strawberry on top, but you know what? I'm gonna go with sweet.
Okay. I want to try a savory cheesecake because I've heard of so many. There's this caterer here that several years ago, I want to say around Thanksgiving, he made like a kind of a soul food-ish cheesecake. So it had like black-eyed peas, collard greens. I think he had some mac and cheese. And this was all in a cheesecake. And I'm curious.
I'm very curious about that as well.
Right. Like,
yeah, mac and cheese and cheesecake.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll try that.
But I don't think it was supposed to be like, it's not like your standard sweet cheesecake, but it's more of kind of like process, I guess, in which you would make cheesecake, he incorporated all of those ingredients. I don't know. Never tried it. I would try it one time just to know, see, and then go on with my life. But also lactose intolerant, can't do dairy. So maybe that window has closed. All right. Well, that was fun. We're going to now take a very, very quick break for our ad, and then we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, for those of you who have not checked us out on hueido.com, what are you waiting on? Go on over there and browse the site. We have incorporated the Hue I Do shop where you can get t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and many other items. And by the way, we will be expanding the shop, so look out for that. If you are interested in being one of our featured guests, you can also find that information on there as well. Please continue to support our socials, and you might be seeing us on the big screen one day. You know, you never know. But as always, we love y'all, and we wish you much love and success.
And we're back. I'm, again, excited to talk to you about this because, you know, selecting your like wedding cake and your dessert, I think that's kind of a big deal. Like, there's so much about the wedding that is just that day, but people, especially in recent years, have like taken their wedding cake and dessert and like made it their tradition to consume in years to come. And, you know, like, so to me, selecting this cake has to really hold up. And so that means selecting the person who will be baking and designing and creating and making this wonderful thing for you to consume essentially for years to come. That to me is a very big deal. It's pretty much you could say it's up there with like the photos and the video because those are the keepsakes you kind of have beyond the day, right? So it's a lot of pressure.
Nice to hear because honestly, usually I'm like one of the last people to be emailed. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I should get a cake."
And it's like probably a month and a half or 2 months before.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we have a lot of questions for you. So if you're in this process, guys, take notes, pull out your pen and pad, and Toniah, kick it off.
All right. So how do brides and those outside the wedding industry think of the cake designer?
Like I said before, I think we're out of everything that you have to plan for your wedding. I kind of feel like I'm the last one chosen or one of the few because, you know, you've picked your venue and your planner and your caterers. Then everybody's like, oh yeah, we should get a cake. So I always get excited when people book me like months and months in advance and not, or even a year in advance. Because at least to get the ball rolling, because at least you're thinking about it and it's not so last minute. Because once you get last minute, it doesn't leave me a lot of wiggle room if I'm like booked up already, or if I need to get like a special ingredient or you know, a decoration. So usually I'm like last, which makes me sad because I shouldn't be last. I can at least be in the middle, not your last choice for your wedding.
Yeah, I would think that like that's like high up on that list because that's part of the food, you know?
Yeah, but I think we get separated out because that's another vendor, right? You go to your caterer for all your food. You go to like your bartender, food and beverage for like that part, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the last one. Especially if your caterer offers desserts, then it's like, oh yeah, oh okay, oh I should probably get a cake. Even though my desserts are with my caterer. So unless the planner that you're working with is really on their ball and make sure that they reach out sooner than later, usually I'm the last, or at least one of the few. It's like me and like, I feel like it's me and the videographer are like the last two choices that people pick.
And that's crazy because
yeah,
I mean, like even in the movies, you know, like the cake is like one of like the first things that people pick out. You know, they go with their husband and they're excited about the cake tasting and everything. So,
well, I think another thing is because people don't realize how long it takes to make a cake. So for them, they think, oh, I can just go like walk in to wherever and just order real quick because it's not a hard or it's not a long process, but in reality it is. So people think they can like take their time on picking it or like not have enough time because they think it's something that's a quick process.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what are things that like brides or couples should ask their potential cake designers when they're like still kind of in that vetting process?
First, like it's always good like to say, have you worked with that venue before? Because some, vendor load in, load out might be different. Or if there's like stairs involved, I've had to trek cakes up and down stairs for venues. So it's good to have a wedding cake designer that knows that venue. So they know how to like maneuver around situations that might not be thought of. If you're gluten-free, if you have a nut allergy, like make sure they like if it's okay to have a baker that still works around nuts. If you're like highly allergic, you might not want to choose one that works around nuts all the time, just in case, like nut flour will be like all over your kitchen. Also, like time of seasonal, like if you want like something seasonal, like do you want a pumpkin cake in the middle of July, that might not be doable. So just realize like what season you're getting married in, like what you actually want, and give them enough time to outsource things. Like I've had brides ask me for certain things and it's taken me a couple weeks to get back because I need to outsource where I'm going to get certain ingredients, certain products. So just come with venue, obviously the date, guests, like how many people is at your wedding, and actually how many people you actually want to serve at your wedding. That's a big difference. And I always ask that question when somebody says my guest count is 150. I'll say, do you actually want to feed 150 or less? Because not everybody's going to eat cake. Not everybody's going to stay around for cake, eating, drinking, whatever, having fun. And the cake will be sitting on the table. So I always tell my couples, do 50% to 75% of your guest count. So always come with your regular guest count and how many you actually want to serve is a big, big help for me.
Wow. I never would have thought about that. I would have assumed that, you're going to feed everyone that's there. So if you have 150 guests, you need a cake for 150. But you're right. Some people are gone at that point.
And people do the dip like right after like dinner, they like disappear. So then you have all this cake and there's nothing worse than having so much cake left over. Like I'd rather you not have enough cake than have too much cake. Cause then you're like, you paid for all these extra slices and they're not getting eaten. So that means it's thrown away or you're trying to give it away to the family or friends that are like there that stick around. So I always err with 50 to 75% of your guest count.
Good to know.
Good tip.
What are the pros and cons of using a bakery versus a wedding cake designer?
There are no really pros and cons. If you're going to the bakery, I'm sure there's at least one or two people that work at that bakery that are cake designers. That all they do are decorate cakes. So if you have a bakery that makes amazing cakes, there's probably a cake decorator there. So it just comes down to what your preference is. If you know somebody that doesn't work at a bakery but is a cake designer, you can go with them as well, or go with a bakery that makes amazing cakes. So there's no pros and cons. I think they're both pretty. Either way you go, I think you'll be happy with whatever cake you get.
Okay.
Good tip. So should couples trust cake designers or bakers that bake out of their home kitchen?
Yes, 100%, because that's what I do. I work at a full kitchen. Monday through Friday, I work in a normal pastry kitchen that I manage, but I also work out of my home, or I'll rent like kitchen space if need be. But I also have state of California has a cottage law, which means you're okay to bake out of your home. So I'm like fully sanitized. Like kitchen is spotless. So if you know somebody and you want someone to do your wedding cake and they're known for that and they happen to work out of their home, that's totally a cake. There are plenty of super, super talented people out there that can't afford a bakery, can't afford to rent kitchen space, but they have space in their home kitchen. So it's totally okay.
And see, I've already told you that I love that your answer to that, because I feel like there's so many of us that know someone that is either like really good at, baking cakes, and maybe that's just something they do occasionally, or maybe it is a side hustle, or maybe it is something that they're actually trying to pursue. And so, like you were saying, not everyone has the funds to just like rent a kitchen. And depending on where you are, you might not even be that close to a kitchen that you can just like regularly access. So that's good to know that there's not like an issue or like an insurance type of thing or like a licensing thing where it's like, oh my gosh, like it doesn't invalidate basically the cake designer because they're at home versus, okay.
I have my cottage law, I have insurance. So yeah, no, if you know somebody that you really want them to make your cake and they happen to bake at home, it should not deter you from ordering from them.
Good stuff. Okay. So what are questions that cake designers usually ask their like prospective clients during that kind of like consultation phase? Like
the first simple questions like date, time, number of guests. If you have any pictures that you have in mind of cake styles that you like would be great. Even if they're the cakes that I've done would be great. So I kind of can get your style of what you're looking for. If they have any flavor preferences, like if somebody really just really loves vanilla cake, that's a big help because it helps me narrow down my next questions of like what kind of vanilla cake do you like? What else do you want with vanilla cake? If they have a planner is great. I would love to know if they have a florist, who their photographer is. All those things matter to me because yes, this is your wedding cake, but it's also a reflection of myself. So I want to make sure that if it's a great florist, are those flowers going to be on my cake? Because then it's going to make my cake look great or not so great. If you have working with a planner, obviously they would be my point of contact on your wedding day. So those are all need to know questions.
And I mean, I would imagine at that point, and especially if you're saying people come to you kind of towards the end of the wedding journey, you should definitely have all of that kind of in mind at that point. So nothing should be pulling teeth to retrieve.
And if you don't, that's totally fine. And I always ask if you don't have one, if you need referrals, like I have a list of people that I've worked with before and I'll give them referrals for whatever they're missing, either it's a planner or a venue or a florist.
Okay. At what stage of the selection process does a tasting come into play?
First, after that first initial email, like in my response to you or a phone call, however we're communicating, I will ask you if you want to set up a tasting. 9 times out of 10, they will say yes. But some of my couples have been out of state, so we can't do a tasting. But usually within the first couple of times that we've been talking, I will ask about setting up a tasting. And now since it's COVID, I do drop off tastings and then we'll hop on like a Zoom call and have the tasting virtually.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do cake designers offer tastings prior to booking?
I do. I don't know if everybody else does, but I offer tastings before booking because it's advertising for myself. So if you like the cake that you've tried, I would hope that you would now go like fully book with me if you like the cake that I've made for you guys to try.
Okay.
So what should couples expect at their cake tasting?
I charge for my cake tastings and you get 4 different flavors of cake. I have like a list of my favorite flavors on my website, but I love to customize. So if you tell me you love chocolate cake, bananas, caramel sauce, and like peanuts, I would be like, okay, let me see what can I make with that? So it'd be like chocolate cake, caramelized peanuts, bananas. So I love to do that way. So you would get 4 individual cakes to try. And then we would go through all of them. If what don't you like about it? What do you like? If there's one aspect of one cake that you like, but you want it with a different flavor cake, that's totally fine too. And then, I give you, a good couple days to think about it. You don't have to give me answers. Like, you don't have to book right away. I'll give you time to like sit and marinate. And then I'll reach back out and be like, hey, like, have you made a decision? Do you have any more questions? Usually my tastings are at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes long, or if longer, depending on how many people are at the tasting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I was going to say that goes into follow-up question to that. Who should you bring to the cake tasting? Kind of like, I thought about this in the frame of like, who do you bring to dress shopping? Like, who do you bring to the cake tasting?
Well, obviously your partner comes along. Usually it's just the couple themselves. I've had sisters come along. I've had moms come. I've had planners come. The biggest I will do is 4 people, but I would try to limit it to yourselves, because then if you add any more, that's more opinions you have to think about. So if you have to bring someone, you can like bring your planner, I would say.
Okay.
So how much should couples budget for their wedding dessert?
That depends on how many people you have and how many people you want to feed. I've had cakes for 75 people, but it costs $1,000. It also depends on how you want your cake to look. Like if you are really dead set on gold everywhere with like edible jewels, that's going to cost a lot more than just a simple rustic buttercream swirly guy. So it kind of has to match your taste. So
gotcha.
If you want something blinged out, come be prepared to shell out some money for a cake.
Gotcha. How about a cheesecake cake?
A cheesecake cake. Okay. That depends. Like if that's something that you want stacked, like a tiered cake, if that's you want like a dessert table with like a whole bunch of cheesecakes like on the table and like a little miniature one for you guys to cut. It's so many questions. So there's so many things to think about. Like I had a couple that really loved cheesecakes, but they still wanted a cutting cake. So they got a small 5-inch cake, and then everybody else they got individual cheesecakes for everybody else. Ooh. And each one was topped with a different topping that they loved. So I've done a cake with cheesecake in it. So they got a cake, an actual cake, but the inside filling was basically a cheesecake. So I baked the cheesecake and then I chopped it up and I added it to the buttercream filling.
Whew, that question was for me, y'all.
Anything cheesecake related is going to be for Toniah.
I figured.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Oh gosh. Okay. So like what is included in like a typical cake payment? Meaning when someone is paying for this, what all are they paying for so they can process this?
So it's my ingredients. Like I don't use cheap things. Like butter is like super expensive. Vanilla is expensive. Flour, eggs, sugar, the time it takes to bake something. So you're also paying for my time to actually bake it, to decorate it, to transport it to wherever it's going. Cake boxes like that I use to transport your cake. I deliver everything myself. I don't ask anybody else. I don't give it to somebody else. If you tell me you're going to pick it up, I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to deliver it myself. I also put the flowers on myself as well. So you're also paying for delivery, for setup. And also I offer my couples a free cutting cake on their first anniversary. So that is included into their price. So every year, every first anniversary, my couples gets a cake, like a little anniversary cake.
That is nice.
It really is.
Yeah.
That is really nice.
I like that.
It also makes sure that people don't freeze their wedding cake. Like I know it's a big tradition to freeze the top tier, and I strongly urge people not to do that. So I offer a cake so they don't have to freeze the top tier of their wedding cake for the first anniversary.
Now, why do you suggest that? Like
because
not to freeze?
That cake's been in the freezer for a whole year.
I feel you. Yeah.
And then, like, what else do you put in that freezer? Do you put fish? Do you put meat? Like, is it wrapped well? Is it going to get freezer burnt? Like, what if it's too many factors. And
Gotcha.
I have had a couple of couples do that, and they didn't tell me till after the fact. And I was like, why did you do that? But they were like, it still tastes great. And I was like, oh, thank God. But I'd rather you let me make you a fresh cake after that year than save it. I know it's tradition, but it's a silly tradition.
Like, and I oh my gosh. So I was just telling Ed earlier today, I was like, I want some wedding cake. So I want to pull out our cake. We just got married, like, what was it, 6-7 weeks ago? So I hope that's still fine. But we know of people that have like pulled out their cake a year later and it's like, this is dry, or it just didn't hold up. But then also on the flip side, like a bride we talked to last year just celebrated her wedding anniversary yesterday, and the cake was still good. So I don't know.
There's too many, like I said, like the couples that have done it without me knowing until after the fact, even though I told them not to, they said that it tasted great, which made me happy. But that's not everybody. Like, that's not going to be the case for everybody. Like, there's too many factors. So I would just let me make you a fresh cake after a year.
And I so love that though. Like, because you can revisit those feelings and those emotions by eating the cake, and it's fresh a year later.
Now I have couples that I make their anniversary cake for them every year. Like, so I'm like 5-6 years in, and every year they come back around and was like, I want another anniversary cake. So it's also good. So it's a good tool because you get to prolong the relationship. Because I'm not just a wedding cake baker. I make cakes for all sorts of things. So that means I could be your birthday cake maker, and when you have children and there's a baby shower. So prolongs my relationship with you.
Yes.
I love that. A few weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago, I don't know. Time is not a real thing in this year. That was one of the pieces of advice I suggested. I was like, hey, you don't have to like do the same piece of cake every year. Just go back to the same person that made your cake and either get the same cake or get another cake. Or if you realized in the process there were a lot of different cake designers that you wanted to try, maybe you get that same flavor, you have them make like a version of that cake, especially if it were a more traditional or kind of standard thing. Like, oh, I want a strawberry cake, or, I'm going to say this for Ed, my husband listening, cookies and cream cake. So have them make a different cookies and cream cake, but you'll get to try like a variety of these. And so way better than stale cake.
Oh my gosh. Nobody needs to eat freezer cake. No.
All right. So next question. For the frugal girls out there, or for the frugal couples, how can couples save money with their wedding cake / dessert?
Less servings. That's gonna save you the most money. There is a misconception that if you have a dummy cake, like a fake cake and sheet cake, that will cost you less money. It does not. That actually costs you the same amount of money if you were gonna just get a normal cake. So the best way to be frugal is to have less servings of cake. Feed less people.
Gotcha. Okay.
It always goes back to the amount of people. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. The cost of everything.
That's the key. That's what it is. And that's what I try to communicate the most. Like, I know you have a certain budget, but your budget isn't allowing it because you dead set on serving 75 people, but you have a budget for maybe 50 people. If you lower your budget to 50, you'll be in the budget that you want. You have to be able to have a little wiggle room. Like I said, because not everybody's going to eat cake. Not everybody's going to stay for cake. Lower your servings is the best bet.
So with that, are there any unexpected costs that comes with the cake?
For me, no, unless it's, I take it back. If you're going to use anything edible, gold or metallic, silver, bronze, rose gold, those costs because those things are expensive to buy edible. So like gold leaf, for example, I have to buy it edible. That one square of gold leaf is like $15. And if you want a whole cake covered in gold leaf, I got to buy, a lot of gold leaf. So it's that stuff that I don't think people think about, that or a certain ingredient that might be out of season that I have to outsource somewhere else. That's the added cost, and I'm gonna have to pay for shipping or pay to find it or drive somewhere to get it. It's those things that add up that drive your cost higher. I don't think anybody thinks about. And like if you are getting married in the mountains somewhere, I have to drive extra slow anyway to get your cake there because I don't want it to topple over. But I also have to be extra careful driving up a mountain with a cake. So your delivery costs might be higher because of the terrain I have to deliver your cake in. Or a boat. I had to travel with the wedding cake on a boat to get to an island for a cake. So I had to factor in the ferry cost to get there. And then from the boat to the venue, how was I going to get it there? It's those things.
Ooh, that must have been real interesting.
Yes. Everybody was looking at me like, what are you doing with this cake on this boat? And it was like an hour-long boat ride. And then obviously when you get there, I didn't have my car. So I had to bring like a wagon with me and that island the island that there's no cars on that island, like it's only golf carts. So I got my little wagon with my cake and like walked it around the island. So people don't think like those are logistics that yes, I need to figure out to get your cake there. Yeah. But I also have to add on that cost to get it there.
Girl, you go above and beyond. Like a
wow. Oh my God.
I really try because I want you to have an amazing wedding cake. So I'm gonna, ain't no mountain high enough. I'll get it there. It's gonna be an extra cost for me to get it there.
Curious, was that Catalina Island?
It was Catalina Island.
That's all right. Just thought so. Okay.
I mean, it was a beautiful wedding, and I love Catalina Island, but it's just the logistics to get the cake there is it's a lot.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Yes. Okay. Well, kind of switching topics just a little bit, or subtopics rather. So, what are like the different types of icing, and do they affect the cost of the cake? Because I just think folks love the name drop. Oh, I'm gonna, put fondant on the cake. And it's like, okay. So
yes, the type of the type of frosting or deco that you use on your cake is going to make your cake more expensive. So buttercream is the least expensive, even though there's a lot of ingredients to it. Like basically it's not as expensive as fondant because I have to make that by hand or order it in. And then also if I use ganache, which is more heat stable. So if you're going to get married in somewhere hot, like tropic desert in the summer, you don't really want buttercream because that melts quicker than ganache. So I would probably ganache your cake and then cover it in fondant. But if it's in the wintertime, I'll do your whole cake in buttercream. And I actually do more buttercream cakes in fondant because California usually weather is pretty good. But I also know like when it gets hot here, I always ask, is your wedding inside or is it outside? If it's outside, I'm going to deliver your cake closer to the time you're going to serve it so it doesn't sit in the heat and then melt.
I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't until you just said that I realized that ganache was a like I've always heard of chocolate ganache cake, and I don't know what I always assume or even assume ganache was, because I know like people here, they're always like, ooh, go to Publix and get that chocolate ganache cake. Okay, like I don't know what ganache is, so now I know that's like a type of, I guess, frosting.
Yes. So chocolate ganache is either milk, white, dark chocolate with cream. And you have to play with the ratio of cream to either get it stiffer or looser, depending on what you want the application to be. So I had a cake that I wasn't going, but the couple was going to pick up the cake and drive it 5 hours because they had an elopement. So I covered their cake in white chocolate ganache because I knew it was going to be firm, that it wasn't going to melt during their drive. So
gotcha.
I also ask, I also make sure I know what season, what typically the weather is going to be in order for me to know what frosting to offer.
Oh, there's a lot that
so
goes
many
into
things.
And
right?
Some things translate better in fondant than in buttercream. Certain decorations are better in fondant than in buttercream, and vice versa.
Wow.
It's a lot.
I mean, you basically answered my next question, which was, are there different cake styles? And if so, what are they? So like, I know you mentioned, like the different frostings, and, but I guess like tell us a little bit about the styles.
So I know right now it's very trendy to be at a rustic wedding, but rustic can mean a whole bunch of things to a whole bunch of people. So my job is to narrow down what you think rustic is to you. So that's why I asked for pictures, because rustic can mean a semi-naked cake. It could mean buttercream frosting with lines, so it looks, rustic, or how it's frosted looks rustic. Some people like minimalist, so that's very sleek, that's very tall, sharp corners. It could be you like artistic, so I'll use my palette knives and make it look like an artist drew on it with paintbrushes and palette knives. It all it's all related. So if you pick much like your venue, if it's sleek and modern, you're pretty sure going to want a cake that's sleek and modern. So pictures are my best friend. So if it's not on my Instagram, like Pinterest is your friend, I just need ideas. Picture ideas, because I'm not in your head, of what you think. Because someone can say a simple cake, but what does simple cake mean to you might be different than what I think a simple cake is, because I'm the one that's making it, and I really know if it's simple or not. But you looking at it in a picture, you're like, oh, that's simple, but that's not really simple. It's a lot of things. So like I said, the rustic is the best example, because a lot of rustic cakes are either semi-naked, where there's barely a lot of frosting on it with like lots of flowers, or it's just like rustic, not smooth icing, which plays into rustic. There's a lot.
Sounds like a lot. And it's like
a lot I
didn't even think of, to be honest. I mean, like when you see a lot of the cakes these days, like a lot of them are very similar. So it's kind of like you kind of base it off of that, or like what you have seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that you're explaining this in detail, because there's a lot that you can do with the cake.
Oh yeah. The same cake that another bride just got. Like, want each cake that each couple gets from me to be unique to them. Granted, it could be in that same realm of rustic or elegant or blinged out, but I want it to be unique to them still.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm learning so much. Can cake designers incorporate family recipes into the wedding cake? So like, my grandma has this wonderful pound cake recipe, or like a carrot cake recipe or something. Okay.
I'm totally down. I've had couples where there was tradition for the top tier to always be a carrot cake, and it was like their mom's recipe. I just was like, just give me the recipe. I don't mind. I don't have a problem using if it's special to you, I don't mind using someone else's recipe. If that's really, I'll give you my version and then I'll give you their version and you can choose, but I don't have a problem.
I like that. I'm trying both versions, because there might just be like an element of that you want, but maybe you realize that, Nicole's cake is actually better than grandma's.
Well, also, if it's a tiered stack cake, maybe that cake that your grandma made is not suitable for it to be stacked. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I can't use it if I can't use it to stack your wedding cake. So I might ask you for the recipe, and I'll pull out things that I can use, like maybe it's a certain spice or a certain ingredient, and I'll incorporate that into a cake base that I know holds up well for whatever cake that you want.
Okay. Toniah, before you ask your next question, I just have this random thought. Have you ever made a cake with curry?
Curry?
Uh-huh.
No, but that sounds delicious.
I've never had one, but I was just thinking like, ooh.
I've done a lot of desserts with curry, but I've never done a cake. And now I feel like I need to like make one.
Yeah.
Because it's super simple. Like, what kind of curry? Like Indian curry?
Uh-huh.
Thai curry? What kind of curry? Like Indian curry?
I was thinking Indian curry. Yeah.
I would probably just then pull out the spices of curry and then incorporate that into like my vanilla cake recipe.
Oh my gosh.
Or like I'll steep the milk that I use for frosting or whatever I'm using for frosting with curry spices, something like that.
Do you need my address and shipping information? Like, I want to try this.
I'll send some things in the mail.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Okay, Toniah.
Now, are couples obligated to choose a cake for the dessert?
No, you don't have to have cake. If you are not a cake fan, you can have pie, you can have cheesecake, you can have mini desserts and not a cake at all. You can just have donuts. You don't have to have a cake if that's not something that you love. Do you get what you love? If you like chocolate chip cookies, get chocolate chip cookies. Like, no one is telling you have to get a wedding cake because it's something that everybody does. So no, I do it all. So whatever you order, you're gonna be happy with. So it doesn't have to be cake.
Perfect.
Good to know.
Yes.
Good to know.
So with that being said, can couples, and likely the answer is obviously yes, based off what you said, but can couples offer a variety of desserts or cakes for their dessert? And like, have you actually seen, or do you have like a story that you could share of like someone that did that?
Yeah, I had a wedding that, it was a small wedding. It was pre-COVID, but it was like maybe 20 people. And she wanted each guest to have their own individual cake. So it wasn't a big cake. It wasn't a stacked cake. It was just each cake. Each guest had their own decorated cake. So
nice.
It can be, I just did dessert boxes where it was during COVID, but each guest took home a little box of little mini desserts. So it was like a little pie, a cookie, and a brownie, all in a box together. It was like their dessert / favor.
Good idea.
That is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love sweets, so I feel like I would do something like that where it's like, here's some little sweet favors to take with you.
Especially since now during COVID, we can't have huge, elaborate dessert tables with like mounds of desserts that everybody can go and like pick whatever you want. We can't do that. So we did it in an individual form. So they still got to have mini desserts, but it was everybody had their own takeaway box.
I like that. I hope that post-COVID we keep a lot of this stuff up, because
I hope so too.
Yeah. Let's see. How far in advance do couples need to select their cake designer?
As soon as possible. I would say like as soon as you pick like your date, your venue, your planner, your photographer, I'm right. I should be right up there with your caterer, because as closer as your date gets, obviously I'm not going to know that's your date until you ask. I might already be fully booked. And myself, I don't take no more than like 3 or 2 weddings in a day because I deliver everything. So I can't, pile on wedding cakes. So the sooner the better, because dates go fast. And especially now during COVID where people are pushing back till 21, 22, the sooner the better.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it makes sense. Like,
sooner. I'd rather we have a discussion, we talk, and it has to be postponed than you asking like, a month in advance and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm already booked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we are right now though. Next year in 2022 are going to be like boom, 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 like events out the wazoo. Everyone is making up for this year.
Now I've had couples now even just push past 21 and go straight to 22.
I'm seeing that too with some of the brides that are potentially going to come on the show. When I talk to them, they're like, yeah, I'm just a 2022 bride.
Like if you know your date right away, and even if my books are not like open to that year, you can at least send an email so it's on my radar, and I'll pin it in my calendar So at least I know, okay, there might be something there. But if I don't want anybody to wait. And I know it's hard right now because everybody's waiting. Because nobody knows for sure, but it's better to at least have that communication and be like, I want to book you. This is the date. And go from there.
Exactly. Okay. Final question for you. So what advice would you give to couples that are in the process of selecting their cake designer?
Come with having some sort of idea. Like I love to walk through the process with you, but I can't do much if you don't have a general idea. So like I said, pictures are my best friend. So even if you come with one picture, we can branch out from there and get what you want. Don't try to pick something because it's tradition or it's because it's what your family wants or it's because you want to like impress your friends. If you want cookies and cream cake, that's what you should get. If you want something crazy because you guys love it and it makes you think of a time you had, I don't know, key lime pie and you want to try and incorporate that into a cake, you should do that because the wedding cake is a reflection of you and your wedding and your love. So don't be you. Get what you guys choose or love rather. And if it's a tiered cake, not all tiers have to be the same flavor. Each tier can be a different flavor. So if you can't decide between 3 flavors of cake, then you should just get all 3 flavors of cake.
I like that.
Super simple. You can have all. I've had brides really like, oh, I really love your Oreo. Okay, that can be the biggest tier. I don't know. I like your cannoli cake. Okay, but that could be like your middle tier. So not all your tiers have to be the same flavor. So have fun. This is a fun process. Everybody likes to eat cake. So don't come stressed.
Very true.
Excited to eat cake, and I will hold your hand every step of the way if need be, and I will make sure you have an amazing cake at the end of the day.
Perfect.
Yes.
Nicole, you have given us so much. Yeah. I'm seriously like now going to pull out like our cake because I'm like now just thinking about cake, and I haven't even been really like craving sweets lately. So
just make
like
sure
when COVID is.
Make sure you let it defrost overnight.
Oh, good idea.
In the refrigerator, yeah.
Okay, great idea. I will definitely do that. When COVID is over, Toniah and I are going to like fly to Cali.
Please do.
We're going to put in our like.
I'm way overdue for a trip to Atlanta,
So that means twice the amount of desserts for us. That's how I translate that. That is how that is translated to me.
I'm 100%. Like if you need a cake, I will fly. Say the words. I love. That's one of my favorite things to travel is cake/travel. So
nice. Okay.
Tania's gonna have all her vendors loaded.
Yes. I'm already making notes.
She really is, though.
I love it. I love a bride that their first email is so detailed you leave me with like no questions. And I will respond with thank you for answering every single thing I could have possibly asked. And man, that email could have been like pages long. The more detailed, the better it is for me. It could be like, I want a peach and teal cake, and here are the color swatches that I want. Like, be as neurotically detailed as possible.
You know what? Not everyone likes that. So, so
that is true.
Know. Yeah, that's really good to know.
For me, that's the best because then I know what you want. If you're going to give me all these, I know what you want, and I can better help you if I know everything. Like if it's a shade, some people are like, well, I want a super, super white buttercream cake. Buttercream on its own is going to be beige because butter is yellow. So it's not going to be super white. So if you want something super white, you're going to want to do fondant because I can get bright white fondant. So like I said, for me, details are the most important.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, has anyone ever said, this is the flavor that I want. This is the venue. and these are my colors. Just do whatever your heart feels, or like wherever your heart leads you, just do it.
Yes. And the funny thing is, those are the cakes that stress me out the most, but I have the most fun with, because it's like my brain is like firing everywhere because I don't have a direction to narrow it down. So then I'm like, okay, let me look at your venue. Is your venue modern? Is your venue full of flowers? Is your venue outside? Like, then I have to come up with it on my own. But I do love those cakes. They just stress me out just a little bit. Gotcha.
I mean, your cakes are beautiful, like hands down, like, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. You're very creative. Like I'm pretty sure, like whatever they ask for, that's what they get. It's not one of those Pinterest, cake.
Like a Pinterest fail.
Yeah. So that's why I asked that question, because I'm like, like I would just be like, hey, Nicole, like whatever you want to do, like this is just, like this is the flavor, this is my venue, this is how things are gonna look. Like, do you? I've
had that happen, and all the cakes turn out great. And I always worry, because then I'm like, oh my God, like what if I went super crazy and then I get there and then they're like, oh, like that's not really like, oh. Like, it's nothing worse where like I work so hard on a cake and I'm like super excited to drop it off, and then they're like, oh, that's nice. Crickets, like nothing, no excitement at all. I just spent all these days making your cake. Please be excited.
That's funny.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for answering all of these questions for us. We're not going to let you go yet. We're now going to move into the wedding vendor love. I'm not wedding vendor love, child. Oh, goodness. We're going into unsolicited advice. I'm jumping ahead. Oh, gosh. And this is what I do every week. I give advice to couples, brides, vendors, grooms to be, everybody that you didn't ask for, because that's what happens when you get engaged. So this week's advice is going to be for those ladies, the brides, the moms of the brides, the bridesmaids, maids of honor, all of that. Please, 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 when picking the shoes you're going to wear for the wedding day, consider the ground you will be walking on. If it is an outdoor wedding, you might not need to be wearing stilettos, especially if you are going to be standing in like grass or, kind of porous ground. So just consider that. And ladies, it is perfectly okay to select the bridesmaid's dress that allows you to wear flats. Nobody would know. That is my advice for this week. Toniah, now you can do wedding vendor love.
Yes. So we're going to move into wedding vendor love. Nicole, I'm going to have you go first. Who would you like to shout out this week?
My girl, Kiosha Chandler. She's of Eventual Concepts out of LA and Atlanta. She is an amazing planner. She gets it done. Whatever you need, she's the one that you need to contact. Every event that I've ever done with her has been top-notch, stellar, gorgeous. She's on her A game all the time.
Yeah, I definitely have heard her name. And I think I've even looked her up before. I think we've shouted her out in the past, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, her name is definitely known.
Yeah, good.
Ashleigh, who do you have?
So I have a vendor that actually provides online jewelry for, so it's an online jewelry store, rather. She provides bridal jewelry for the bride, the bridal party, the maid of honor, or of course, maid of honor, the mother of the bride, mother of the groom, anyone really that needs jewelry. And it's called I and Eva. So it's kind of a play on the name Al and Eva, which is the owner's grandparents that were pretty much like her model of love growing up. They were married for 75 years. Her grandfather passed away in 2007. But the jewelry, y'all, is so beautiful. So she's based in Atlanta, but of course you can buy it online. at iandeva.com. And I hope it's I and Eva, not like A and Eva. Either way, AI and Eva. Anyway, but you look at it, you just see gorgeous, gorgeous pieces of jewelry. And her main thing was she wanted to have jewelry for couples and for brides and whatnot that was beautiful, but it wasn't expensive. Like you look at some of these pieces, there was this one that is more of a colorful pair of earrings, but $26.99. Like this is gorgeous stuff. So like I am 100% here for her. Like chances are I'm going to be buying from her for you guys next year. So yeah, please support Patrice Morgan. That's the owner. Her jewelry is phenomenal. So that is my vendor. What about you, Toniah?
Very nice. So this week I have a calligrapher. She's based out of Austin. And she started out 10 years ago. She said that she's always been like a painter. But she took a calligraphy class right before she got married. And that was in 2015. And she just continued to do that. And so her work is beautiful. She does like these jackets. And that's pretty much what caught my attention, like as soon as I saw her. But she does these jackets, she'll basically, draw, or I don't know if that's the right term, but she'll basically draw on anything. But she does a lot of weddings. And so if you are in need of a calligrapher, definitely look her up. Her name is Amanda Reed, and her website is amandareeddesigns.com. And you can also find her on Instagram, Amanda Reed Designs. And yeah, definitely look her up. You really don't hear about calligrapher that much. Like people really don't hire that many calligraphers. And so, yeah, definitely look her up. She's Black. So, support. She does great work too. So that's a plus.
Good.
Yay.
Good. Well, Nicole, where can people find you to learn more? If they just want to peruse your Instagram, or if they want to, like book you.
Sure. Instagram is Nicole Bakes Cakes. And then I have a website, NicoleBakesCakes.com. Yeah, those two are it. So please follow me, send me emails. I love talking about cake. So please.
Okay. So, now the two of us will just email you about cake.
Please, I love it. Please do. I mean, I've had brides not even book me because they were, props in another state, and I will still talk to them and help them through and help them see, even if I might know somebody in the area that you're looking. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
No, because listen, like this cheesecake cake is happening.
But it's going to be like dairy free, right?
If we can make that happen, then yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, do you do like dairy free, gluten free?
I do.
I'm trying to think of what else is out there.
I do allergens. I do gluten free. I do vegan. All of the above. Nut free is a little harder because I can't 100% guarantee, but I will do like nut free if somebody has an allergy. Lactose. I'll use alternative milks. Yeah, I kind of do it all. Now, it hurts my heart to do those things because they're not going to taste 100% as like the real deal. Yeah. But I will do them. Like I make vegan chocolate chip cookies that they don't even taste vegan. So I'll just make them and not even tell anybody that they're vegan. Mm-hmm. You can't tell. I have made cheesecake without vegan cream cheese. Okay. I mean, it's not going to be as amazing as normal cheesecake, but it's still good. It's still good.
That's the only thing. Like, I haven't found a vegan cheesecake that I just absolutely love. I mean, like, it's good. Yeah. But it just doesn't have my heart, It's missing that
lovely dairy fat.
Yeah. So one day someone will come up with like that amazing cheesecake and it just has all the flavors, the texture, just ugh. Yeah. I just get so excited talking about cheesecake, y'all. I'm sorry.
I love cheesecake. It is delicious.
Yes.
Well, Toniah, where can they find us?
Yes, they can find us at hueido.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can find Ashleigh at Demitosh on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me at Belsorie on Instagram and Twitter, and our shop. I know that many of you have been listening to our commercials. You know, we have mentioned the shop. We have officially moved to shop.hueido.com, or you can just go to hueido.com and just click the shop button. We are there. Go look us up. Go buy you something. Go buy your girl something, you know. Yeah.
Or get your favorite vendor something. We have mugs, we have face masks, we have shirts, we have stickers. We have all cute little things for you to celebrate your engagement, whether it's for yourself or to celebrate, you know, your bachelorette or bridal shower, or like I said, you want to gift your favorite vendor something to, you know, show your appreciation. Now, I will say, depending on what you get them, don't let that be the only thing you get them. They need
okay. Yeah, they still need that tip.
Don't just give them a cute little sticker, a little face mask, and think that's it. Okay,
because then they will talk about you.
You're right, and we will too.
Yeah, we will too.
Don't forget to tip your cake designer.
Yes,
we're gonna have an episode about tipping. We're gonna have because if I see one more message in one of these Facebook groups from these ladies that are complaining about having a tip or get a gift, and they're like, "How much I got to spend? I already spent blah 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 blah." Oh my gosh, y'all be so cheap.
You just need to budget for that as well. You know, like we understand weddings are expensive, but you also need to budget for that. I mean, when you
budget go to a restaurant, for the tip.
Yeah. I mean, when you go to a restaurant, you just automatically know that tip is going to be given.
But some of these same folks don't tip that well at the restaurant, so we can't assume.
I mean,
we can't assume that they know how to tip. It's embarrassing because it's like you are too old to be complaining about depending anywhere from an extra $50, extra $100 or so, like depending on what the actual payment is. Like, come on, budget for that. You should probably budget like 2-3% of the wedding to possibly be tips, depending on how much your wedding costs.
Like Ashleigh said, we're gonna have a whole episode on that.
Yes. But anyway, Nicole, thank you so much again for chatting with us. We know you have a lot you still have to do. So we're going to let you get back to it, and we will bring you back again, of course, to talk all things weddings.
I would love to come back.
Perfect. And we're definitely going to make that trip happen at some point because we both love sweets.
Yeah, I've never been to California too. Like I have a lot of friends out there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, each time that like I want to go, like something happens, or you know, I'm working or I get a new job. It's always something. But after COVID, like I have to
have to come.
Yeah. I have to. I've been to Seattle, but that's like the only place I've been to on the West Coast. So,
and I haven't even been to the West Coast at all.
Oh, okay.
I haven't even been beyond Mississippi. Like that's how bad. No, Louisiana. Yeah. I haven't been to Texas.
Come.
Yeah.
Yes. You're going to make it happen.
Yes. And I'll make you cake. So that's like another incentive to come.
Yes. Such a win-win. Oh gosh. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and we're going to let you go.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great evening.
All right. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You too. And have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy all the holidays.
All the holidays. All right. Bye.
The golden age of travel is back in the Palm Beaches. As America's first resort destination, the Palm Beaches are the gentler side of Florida, waiting just for you. From Jupiter to Boca Raton, sun-kissed sands embrace the warm Gulf Stream waters. Our vibrant blend of people, cultures, and coastal towns welcome everyone. So we invite you to join us. Experience the original, the one, the only The Palm Beaches. Plan your trip at thepalmbeaches.com.